Warning, this video contains mature content and sexual suggestive themes. If you're watching this on Pornhub, then welcome to the uncensored version. Did you really believe I would upload an uncensored version of this video on Pornhub? No horny for you. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So, there's a game called the Imperial Gatekeeper. From the title, you would assume to be an ultra badass motherfucker who mans his post at a gate, but it's not. You're not even military, you're just the TSA of the medieval fantasy world. First things first, your name is Corporal Phil. You are a veteran of the Imperial Army, that is down on your luck, so you're stuck playing TSA, while other veterans are probably becoming adventurers or some other fantasy anime stuff. Once we start the game, you meet Krisha, your assistant. Because you aren't gung-ho dress anymore, you want to talk casually amongst your peers. But Krisha keeps bringing up your outstanding military prowess and calls you sir anyway. Big Mommy Milkers gives a speech about winning the war and how the Traffic Security Bureau will maintain the prolonging peace against those who resist imperial rule. After the speech, we are introduced to our other assistant Rehat. He quickly recognizes who you are, and apparently I'm the fucking spear hero from Rising of the Shield Hero but cooler. After a Dragon Ball Z filler episode, we basically just check paperwork. You basically get about 3 minutes to make sure paperwork isn't bad. This gets boring in the first 3 minutes, so I'm just going to skip it to ease your suffering. After being a legal creep, you receive a scorecard of how well you do. I don't really care how well I do, since it doesn't really matter once you have a lot of money and points. Occasionally you'll come across some individuals with expired or faulty paperwork. Most of the time you'll reject them, however sometimes they offer bribes or other consensual services to get past the gate.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
One thing I forgot to mention, if you purchase this game on Steam or GOG then you will need to install the patch from the Kagura game website. Then after installing it, you need to enable the spicy content. Fair warning, I'm going to consider this spoiler territory, so if you don't want spoilers, then by all means click off the video. If you already played or don't care, then continue watching at your own discretion. On the next day, you run into this wolf-eared totally not suspicious guy just after closing. I mean dude could have just wore a cape without the suspicious ninja outfit. Then this edgy motherfucker goes off ranting about how the fantasy TSA is just exploiting people at checkpoints. I mean I hate the TSA just as much as everyone. But even I know there's a reason why they fiddle but for the sake of security, I might have an explosive device in my ass and no one would know. Anyway this dude leaves, that's that, he just fucking leaves. However, this is apparently related to the plot of this fantasy TSA story. Then we are introduced to the mommy fortune teller of the game. Luckily for us, she tells our fortune for free, and she always has her paperwork in order. So you can just auto-approve her to pass through the gate every time you see her. I should also mention that her fortunes are both positive or negative bonuses. They are usually random, so you just have to hope you get a positive fortune. After that, Krisha and Rehat apparently want to train you on something during your day off. Keep in mind that Krisha is always your training buddy and we all know that the TSA trains to conduct thorough searches on people. Remember, it ain't gay if it's the TSA, so we just conduct searches for weapons or illegal items. However, the only thing you ever have to worry about in this game is weapons since adding drugs or other illegal items would have complicated the game. After the training, Rehat is glossing over you touching Krisha and saying it was fun to do so. Apparently Krisha doesn't mind because she says it's her duty to help anyway. Constant grinding and training later, you get stationed in a city checkpoint. This is where weapons are prohibited, all because of an incident with some drunk people stabbing each other. This doesn't sit well with some people like adventurers, who have to pay overpriced passes and have to surrender their arms to enter. Like a true American, this adventurer refuses to surrender her arms. So we have no choice but to refuse her approval of entry. Ignoring me and the other two stationary guards, she bolts past the gate and gets arrested. After the constant bitching from people, we are introduced to a new document that allows the right to bear arms past the gate. On top of this, we are also burdened with more work since the fantasy TSA is understaffed. Nonetheless, we get this done after constant grinding. We are then recognized for our hard work and end up being stationed somewhere else again. Turns out we get stationed literally in the middle of nowhere. This doesn't mean people don't pass through the checkpoint at all. It just means we finally get different people passing through that are totally different than what we're used to at this point. Dummy mommy then arrives on horseback, meanwhile us grunts fucking walked here. I choose to simp for mommy's outfit and she's flattered, but ultimately could give a fuck about what I think. Just like the IRL streamers on Twitch. We are then greeted by this old geezer. Turns out he's a fucking general coming to visit us because we were the spear hero of the Imperial army that was under his command. Like always, we are now given another task. This time we must arrest 3 wanted individuals, because why the fuck not? After arresting the wanted criminals, we are yet again recognized for our outstanding duty. How can they make this worse? They are literally sending us to a place that is near the nation of Silburn. Although we are at peace, there are still cases of attacks carried out by those with disdain towards the Empire. Nonetheless, as the fantasy TSA we report as ordered. However, many of us don't recognize the severity of the situation. Like our mommy Olivia, who stands proudly in plain view of any possible incoming fire. A guard tells her this, but she still wants the guards to rely on fantasy TSA to both cooperate with them and the gate. After the shift, we are getting ready to leave. Meanwhile, the local resistance attempts to bomb the gate but fails. Although there are no casualties, we are yet again given another task of arresting wanted individuals. This time they are terrorists with a group known as the Silver Hand. Not to be confused with the Silver Hand from Skyrim. They don't hunt monsters and such. These guys just hate the Empire for the sake of hating the Empire. Yet again, we prevail and bring justice as the fantasy TSA. We are once again recognized for our achievement and now are given a new post. This time we are deep within the Empire's territory than near the borders. We are now stationed at Ram's Palace. Mostly nothing out of the ordinary should happen here. So we conduct our duty as fantasy TSA as usual. However, after our shift we notice that Rehart is missing. He usually meets us after our shift, but we think nothing of it and thought he left early. Controversy is about. Turns out that our friend Rehart is the prime suspect of a heist he orchestrated at the palace. It also turns out that Rehart is a fucking furry. Because this motherfucker has been hiding his ears in his hat this whole time. Even with Rehart still at large, we get the common suspicion that there is someone else. Something bigger at play here. We just don't have the evidence or don't have a clue what's about. If only there was someone who's connected. Someone we could trust. Someone who's been places we have never been. If only we had that contact. Maybe the fantasy TSA could stand to solve this controversy.
Wait a minute!
Of course, Paula. We met her multiple times during our other checkpoint posts. We first met her as a traveling prostitute, then as a teacher, then as a dancer. Now knowing her true identity and her background, there is no one else we can rely on other than our new mommy. She basically tells us that there is someone secretly funding the Silver Hand. That the money stolen from the palace was used for that purpose. Although our friend Rehart had secretly been from Silburn. We know for a fact that it wasn't him funding the terrorist. He is simply the fall guy, and the true culprit is out there. She then tells us to head back to the Topaz checkpoint, on the suspicion that someone will show up and give us the information we need to bring justice. Guess who shows up? None other than the edgy ninja dog man from the start. After he rants about hating the Empire, he then brings up a certain individual. Someone of a buxom stature. Someone who anonymously operates within the Empire itself. Upon hearing of the description of the suspect, we quickly move into action and tell Krisha of our plan. For the sake of Reheart, for the sake of the fantasy TSA, for the sake of the Empire, everything relies on this moment. The moment where our enemies shall fall, and the Empire will prevail, justice in hand.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
With the controversy resolved, and the arrest of Mommy Milker's Olivia, I now assume the acting position of Chief of the Traffic Security Bureau. It also just so happens that she is given probation after the end credits. By probation I mean she's literally my servant now. Reheart and Krisha are both still my assistants. However, Krisha confessed to loving me gods know how many training sessions ago. Also, Reheart is still a fucking furry, but he's still cool. This practically concludes the main story. Overall, this game is a good time sink, and if you are a pervert, then it's also right up your alley. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.